All right. Well, it is noon. Hello and welcome. My name is Holly Bailey. I manage the customer success team here at Work Truck Solutions, and I will serve as your moderator this afternoon, where we will be discussing how dealers are responding to the COVID-19 crisis. Quick note, as many of us are getting used to new work from home video conferencing technologies, we have noticed that there is an impact both on internet use and the programs that we use for video conferencing like GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. So if there's a bit of a lag or we have a technical snafu, please bear with us. We have lots of backup plans in place to accommodate that. So first and foremost, on behalf of Work Truck Solutions, I would just like to say that our thoughts are with all of you on the phone and all of our dealerships, and we hope and send well wishes for safety and health for all of you, and we sincerely appreciate you joining us today. Over the past few weeks, I can tell you it has been an incredible honor for me to talk to so many of you and share ideas and experiences. And actually, through this crisis, it's given me an opportunity to get to know my coworkers and all of our dealers better, and that's a true honor. So, without further ado, I would like to let you know that joining me today is Catherine Schifferly, Work Truck Solutions CEO, and Nicole Wilson, who is Work Truck Solutions Director of Marketing and Communication. So I'd like to start today with a few housekeeping tips, if I could. So, couple housekeeping tips. Most of you should see a GoToWebinar dashboard, which looks kind of like a long rectangular view to help you through today. What we want to do is have you use the question feature to ask questions as we're going, and we will look at those at the end and then pose those questions to Catherine and Nikki. And we also have members of our senior leadership team on the line and many members of the customer success team. So we're here to answer any questions that you may have. Again, we'll do that at the end. Another quick note referencing the potential for a technical difficulty as we go through today, just because all of these lines of communication are impacted at this point with all of us telecommuting and working remotely. We have provided the handout as a downloadable PDF for you, and that is located on your view as a little paper icon, and you can actually download this presentation now to your desktop if you'd like to. Finally, we will be sending out a recorded copy of this webinar tomorrow to you, so that is coming. Without further ado, I would like to ask CEO Catherine Schifferly to join me. Catherine, we'd love to.
Holly.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Happy afternoon.
It is afternoon
All right,
everywhere.
I will turn this over. It is everywhere. I will turn this over to you. Thank you and welcome.
Right. Thanks. And I'll echo Holly's appreciation for your joining us today. One thing is true in that things are changing and developing on a regular basis. And so we've all been working very hard to gather information to help be more informed on how we can respond and how to help dealers who are stuck in many different situations. So I'd like to kind of walk through the agenda with you. We're going to initially talk about just some general news, what we're hearing up to date as of this morning. We're going to then deliver, Nikki's going to join and deliver the results of a survey that we did with dealers. We called it the Dealer Pulse, just understanding directly from them how they're adapting. We've got some ideas on some tactics that you can take right now to make sure that you're staying in the game. And then, of course, as Holly said, we'll be open for some Q&A at the end. So let's get started. That's right, as of today. Thanks, Holly. First of all, I know that you've all heard of the OEM manufacturing cease, and of course part of that is for the purpose of manufacturing some respirators, etc. But we're all looking for what is the end point. And I wanted to let you know that both Ford and GM have left that open at this point in time. Ford has now confirmed that April 20th is not unlikely, but neither of them have set actual dates. They both have announced, though, that they are manufacturing respirators. FCA has announced that their plan to reopen and remanufacturing is now pushed out to May 4th. So that was as of last night. And of course, the update on the number of states that have issued stay-at-home orders or shelter at home it's up to 42 now. So that has made us really be sensitive to the situations that dealers have. We're going to talk a little bit more. I mean, one of the things I've talked to probably 80 dealerships myself personally, and one thing that I've realized is how unique each dealer situation is. Because if a state has issued a stay at home, that doesn't mean that the dealer is precluded from actually selling. But there have been some states, such as Michigan and Pennsylvania, where all sales have had to cease. New York also ceased for a while. There's a little kind of loosening of what that looks like. So it is not only unique state by state, but it's also unique dealer by dealer how they're interpreting what the state's mandates are. We've done a look at, based upon, oh, not quite yet. We've done a look at what our supply on hand is through the platform, and we've compared it to the typical movement. And so that's why we're giving about a 4.5 month length of current on hand supply. Having said that, that's if everybody is perfectly matched. And of course, that's what we're going to be talking about, is how to help you continue to reach out to customers and match your supplies with their demands. Obviously, NADA is continuing to reforecast, but we are seeing some signs of change internationally. So we'll keep you posted on that. Go ahead. Let's look at them. So now I'm going to turn over the microphone and camera to Nikki. She's going to update you on what we've learned.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. All right, so as she mentioned, we asked our dealers, how are you responding and adapting in this unprecedented time of change, and what are some of the things that you're struggling with, and what are some of the things that you've learned as we've moved through these past few weeks? The very first question we asked our dealers are you open? And if you're open, are you able to have your showrooms open, or are you only able to be open online? And the good news from our perspective is currently 89% of the dealer surveys say that they are able to be open in some fashion, and over 70% have their showrooms open. For those that are open, we asked, how were your sales for March compared to your objectives? Did you meet or beat your objectives? And that's shown by the green slice of the pie on the chart. So 16% fall into that category. Not a number we'd like to see, but given the current situation, to me, I find it a positive assurance that some dealers are able to hit their sales goals in this period of time. And then the orange, oh, sorry about that, but the orange pie on that slide, those dealerships are saying their sales were down just a little bit, but over half of our dealers said their sales were down quite a bit. When we asked our dealers, how is your dealership adapting in this space? What are you doing to make it work? And 100% of all the dealers surveyed fell into the 6 categories listed here on the screen. And first and foremost, increasing online communications. As Holly mentioned at the beginning of this call, we're struggling with bandwidth and technology, and everybody's getting online, and our traffic is showing that as well, that people are just being more and more online. The second most popular response was finding ways to deliver contactless transactions through online and delivery services and pickup services. That's a major focus where dealers are working to help make it a safe transaction for their customers. The third mentioned item was based on the CDC guidelines for cleanliness and social distancing and leveraging those practices. That was followed by a lot of conversations about rotating staff, figuring out how to make things work with this new world of people switching on and off from working from home and working at the showroom, and just adjusting how things work to make it so that everybody can make it through these times. And then there were quite a few conversations about virtual sales calls and focusing on videos and call scripts, planning ahead so that you have some some things to say and things to talk about virtually and digitally, so it feels a little bit more fluid when you're talking to your customers virtually. We also asked, what is your biggest hurdle? And on the screen are the top 10 responses that we received. I won't go through every one of them, but again, the number one issue, not unlike the number one thing that they're doing, is communicating online, and really, how do you get in touch with your customers and let them know that you're open for business, especially when you think about Google and Yelp and all the different places where your information is. How do you make sure that customers know you're there? And the second most popular response was related to educating customers on the vehicle product and the dealership status as well. Being able to have that information about the vehicle product, the videos, the pictures, the specs, it was really important to have that available online. And the third thing is just an unfamiliarity of this space. I know I've certainly got more comfortable about my face being on video, working from home, as we all are. It's new for a lot of us on the sales side and also on the customer side. It's just uncomfortable and different. So there's a lot of conversation about that. And the last one I'll touch on this slide is pricing. There's kind of two different angles on the pricing. Some were saying it's just difficult to keep the pricing accurate and updated across the different marketplaces and platforms. And then the other side of that conversation was related to pricing the vehicles and customers expecting a deep discount, and how do you ensure you're staying competitive and based around, what is the right price for the vehicle. So quite a few more hurdles on the screen, as Holly mentioned. They are available for you to download, and we'll have a video as well. So let's talk about some actions dealers can take right now. And with that, I'll pass that back to Catherine.
Thanks, Nikki. And it's great that dealers are actually picking up the baton. And it's not easy, especially in this space. And we all know that technology and digital hasn't been the comfort zone, right? So let's dig into just some things, right? So for those dealers who our hearts go out to, they're precluded from selling right now. 3 big tips: inform. Keep your customers informed. Make sure that your dealership has a big splash on the retail page. Certainly, we're putting one up on the commercial for our commercial customers, and make sure that they know what's going on. And think through how you're going to route the leads and the requests that are coming in. I can't give you a one-size-fits-all for that, but making sure that maybe you have somebody assigned to talking to each individual customer. Maybe you have a partner dealership somewhere that you can route them to, but think it through so that they're just not left hanging and don't know what's going on. And make sure that in both of those cases that you're advising them and reminding them that this is just a temporary situation, that you still care about them and that you're available to answer questions, right? Now, if you can sell, you should do the same thing. You should inform them, make sure that they know exactly what's going on. Really look at the opportunity to be digital. And I will tell you, we have seen some amazing things that some of our dealers have stepped forward and done. And if you want some deeper details, we're going to have some follow-on webinars where we're going to dig in deeper on specifics. But one example I loved, one of our dealers put a 5-step process for selling with digitally, and it was surprise, surprise, nothing that they weren't already doing. Because being able to deliver paperwork and deliver cars and go through things online and on the phone, it's all within the toolbox right now. And then finally, it's a wonderful time to jump into being social, to being online and social media. If you haven't done it before, or if you're currently doing it, make sure that you know what your dealer's doing, but also what you can do from a dedicated commercial perspective, because there are a lot of people looking and having time now to go through and look at stuff, and you can even learn to target. Now, what happens when you are selling, and if you need help finding inventory, we really know that that of course you have your OEM locator, but in addition, there are body manufacturer and OEM locators that we're going to create a list just to make sure that you know where they all are. Certainly Knapheide and Redding and Supreme and some of those, but also all the GM dealerships, there is an actual locator on their Tier 1 site that you can use yourself to locate actual upfitted vehicles. And then, of course, convoy.com, as most of you are aware, highly flexible to find things. And if you're, of course, on the WTS system, you have the dealer trade network you can be using and communicating with, and also our national inventory finder. So if you need help and you can't find it in one of those places, please reach out to us. We're happy to connect you to other dealers. So we know that, as we said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunity that we see in sharing information. We are getting ready to put together tracking that we've been doing. I'll give you a little hint right now that buyer behavior between the 3 platforms that we have access to, which are the locator platforms, the dealer platforms, and Convoy platform. We're seeing some interesting things. Just at a high level, for the first 3 weeks of March, we saw a very rapid decline in some activities. And then in the last 2 weeks, we've actually seen that pick back up. And so we'll have some more granular information about buyer behavior. It's logical. We all know that that the highest focus right now is on delivery vehicles. We've seen we saw one of
webinar on my phone. Yeah.
One of the things that we've seen is a real tick up each week on some different areas. 1 week we had a real tick up on passenger vans.
Okay, because all right.
So it sounds like we need somebody to mute.
Yeah.
They would, please.
I think somebody needs to mute on their line, please. Thank you.
All right. So and then we have where we've been compiling what we're calling guerrilla digital marketing on a shoestring budget. We think that there's going to be an opportunity for our dealers to really maximize targeting the right kinds of customers during this time. I think we're lucky that we are part of a essential business supply chain. And actually, I'll tell you, I was speaking to one of our body manufacturers yesterday, Reading. They're in Pennsylvania, and so the entire state was shut down. But they filed for a waiver, and they received that to be able to start manufacturing because they are part of the essential business that are needed across the whole United States today. And so we're going to keep you informed. We're going to be. So hopefully you can join us in a future one as well. This one we wanted to develop as kind of a first look, a high level, and then get your feedback on what are the other areas of interest and information that you would like us to be rolling up and reporting for you as well. Holly?
All right, so yes, Catherine, I think we're going to move on to questions.
All right.
Some have been sent through the channel, some have been sent just directly privately through the GoToWebinar app. So if we want to bring Nikki back as well, so we can see both of you to go through a few of these questions. So I encourage everyone on the line and participating in the webinar, any attendees, to go ahead and use the question icon on your GoToWebinar dashboard. That's that long, skinny, rectangular thing in the corner of your screen, probably. And you can either send a question privately or to the group. So the first question that I have here is, how many dealers participated in the survey?
Nikki, I'll let you take that.
I can take.
Yep.
I can take that one. Thank you. So our survey was sent out on Friday. So just want to be clear, it was a short survey, and it was completed by 45 respondents. And taking a look across the United States, it represented well in both ends of the states, but we had a little bit of a lack of participation in the middle there in Kansas and below. But 45 respondents to answer the question. Thank you for asking.
So the next one just reads, how about online traffic? What are you seeing?
So I think that that was what I was kind of referring to, is that there have been surges, and there have been it was clear that people kind of had an immediate reaction that slowed down in the types of traffic that were looking for vehicles, but then it started picking back up. But what we really want to do for you is break that down into types of traffic, both on the user side and also continuing to break it down by body type, because we believe we've done a good job of mapping the kind of what I would call vocational trends to the searches. So we'll have some charts and stuff for you in our next workshop webinar.
Okay.
I don't know if,
yeah.
Nikki, I know that we had some data, overall data around what we're seeing, as a country. You had something around Zoom and what they'd seen, I don't know if I'm pulling that out of, oops, you're muted.
Nikki, I think you're muted.
Yes, I am. Thank you. I don't want to misspeak the quote. I don't have it in front of me, but Zoom had a record-breaking number of mobile users on Monday. I want to say it was 4.8 million users. They're, as you know, they're offering it up free for schools. I'm sure that's a factor, but just a sign that people are getting digital and mobile.
And I think one of the things that I would like to express is that, we've been working remotely now for a number of weeks, and I have multiple meetings and calls a day. And so I've seen many different methods that people are using, from Zoom, which is free, to people that are using Google tools, using Hangouts, to our GoToMeeting that we're using right now, to WebEx. I would be curious if there were, to get feedback from the group that's with us, if they've been having any specific feedback about what's working and what isn't working. I've found that in general, they seem to be about as dependable as one another, and that there's definitely a flux and flow during the day, and that it appears that 10 a.m. West Coast time is, from my perspective, the busiest time, when bandwidth certainly goes down.
Right. So we have another question. Are dealers in Michigan and Pennsylvania allowed to trade vehicles away?
My understanding is most of them are interpreting the answer as no, because the paperwork is an actual business action.
Okay. Another question.
And actually, one of the things that we're seeing is that, and as Nikki said, we have dealers that are able to continue to sell, and so some of them have been getting at least 16% or we're above, and they're getting the results of certain areas not being able to sell. We had a dealer in northern Ohio who was being very successful because of the demand from Michigan. So, and I think that this is a really important thing for us all to acknowledge and understand, and that is that in the commercial space, it's not the same as the retail side of the business. The demand still exists. People aren't deciding to wait because of not being able to drive around to go to look at something and touch it. They need a vehicle because of a specific business situation, and these are essential businesses, so their demand is still existing, and some of them are actually increasing. We have one of our team members is involved with a cleaning company, and the demand for cleaning crews to go out and disinfect has, as you can imagine, what do you think? It's 1,000 times now. So there's a lot of demand that's happening.
Another question, is there a way for Ford OEM incentives to flow through to Work Truck Solutions pricing?
There absolutely is a way. We need Ford to provide us with that feed, and it would be really great if you are a dealer to surface that ask through your CBM, because we have offered to do that, and we are interested in doing that.
I'll pick this out. I've got a great comment here. This is not a question, but just here in Kansas, their March was above normal. So that sort of ties in with some of what we saw on the survey.
You know, one of the other things I want to mention as we're continuing, good job, yes. One of the other things that we're trying to be really cautious to not appear to be, you know, Pollyanna, because clearly this is unprecedented and a very distressing time. But the other thing that we've done a bunch of research on is looking at recovery. We're thinking ahead, so our team has done a lot of research on the varieties of different types of recoveries. And if you haven't read about them, you know, in a high level, there's what's called an L, which is really bad because it doesn't really come back for a while. There's a swish. And there's a V, and we really truly have not only a belief, but we've looked at previous statistics around comparing retail recovery versus commercial recovery, and we are absolutely convinced that this is a V, and we're working on ways to support that type of immediate recovery for both dealers and customers. So any ideas that you guys have or any insight that you have, please continue to share that with us, and we'll aggregate that as well.
So this question, I'm hoping I'm interpreting this right. I know sometimes when you have that little question area to type into, you're typing quickly. So I believe the question is the inventory on Work Truck Solutions and on Convoy the same as new inventory? Same as, I think this individual is just asking about, are they synonymous, or is,
yeah.
Yes, the same.
So that is a great question, and we have made an absolute commitment to our dealers through the balance of 2020 to have all of their inventory on Convoy, no fees, no listing fees, no lead fees, nothing. And we think it's extremely important during this time to surface inventory across the United States, because you could sell something that is a perfect fit for a customer during this time, especially, and during recovery, right? Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. All right. Another question here is Work Truck Solutions offering special pricing for dealers that may be considering more digital platforms right now. So I think that's asking if there's any incentives to.
You know, that is I'm going to have to interpret that question a little bit, because it's a little vague. But on the one hand, we have reached out to all of our dealers, and if you're one and you haven't heard this yet, we are offering to do a bunch of extra stuff right now that is digital at no extra charge. So we've been building COVID-19 status pages for our dealers so that they can instantly see, the customer can see what's going on, and keeping that updated on their behalf as they communicate with us. We've added banners during search that takes people to that, so that people are always being exposed to that. And we've got a couple of other digital marketing things that we're offering. So, you know, talk to your DSC. We're happy to help. I think that, you know, one of the things that we're kind of exploring around Convoy is what are other opportunities around helping a dealer build a digital brand, you know, that is targeted to who their ideal customer is. And one of the reasons I just passionately love this industry is how practical it is. And every dealer is unique. And so every dealer in their market and their goals has a unique market plan that they want to build. That's great, because in this world of essential businesses, there is, you know, the businesses are all unique, and based upon your physical marketplace and what's going on around you and the trends and what is now happening, which is really highlighting how to connect with people and be able to target them, is the key. That's really where we are. So I think that you should stay tuned to some things that we're learning and some added things that we'll be bringing to dealers for sure. both knowledge base to help any dealer, because I truly believe that that's the right way to do business, but also that things that we will be hand-holding our dealers on as well.
And I think this next question kind of goes along with that, but maybe you can elaborate a bit of just the best ways to engage with customers when you can't see them in person.
Well, Nikki was very accurate in this. I've been, I am not, let's see how to phrase this. This isn't my first rodeo. That's probably one of the best ways to say it. And so I've been doing remote sales for most of my adult life, and that's been a long enough time that I've learned to imagine what people look like when I'm talking to them on the phone. And suddenly, in the last few weeks, I'm looking at everybody that I'm talking to, because 80% of the meetings that I'm having have video on them. 80% of them. So the question is, are you comfortable doing that? It is a more engaging way of being with people. Calling people and talking to them on the phone doesn't give you the advantage, the benefit of using body language and both to express and to interpret. So I highly suggest that that one approach would be to become, the salesperson that's comfortable doing that. I mean, let's all agree that's what you guys are. You want to talk about it, and using videos, walkarounds of vehicles. I know that a lot of the body manufacturers have them. We put them on the vehicle detail pages when we find them, but you can go walk around and do a video and post those as well. So I think that we'll be seeing a lot of that. What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, I agree. I think walk around videos with your iPhone or whatever mobile device you have is completely acceptable in today's day and age. My advice to you would be to make sure that your hand's not too shaky, or try to avoid that. I know personally that I struggle with that. Phones are a lot smarter now though, however. But I think to keep it real and personal is the key. And, zoom in on those features you want to show off. And, I think ahead of time, just writing down that script to make sure you're prepared with what you want to say when you turn on the camera.
And I was gonna throw that in. I don't know if you need a full script, but you certainly need an outline just to give yourself that comfort level of what you're going to be saying. And the first bunch of them are probably not going to be good, whatever, But I will tell you that it's not a day when high production value is required. It's more about being personal and sharing your view. And in some ways, this could be deeper and more engaging. Absolutely.
That actually kind of goes along with the question that came up here. Is there a best practices on the do's and don'ts of videos, mainly looking at shooting our inventory units? I have a quick note on this. We've had several dealers who've called into their dealer success coaches, their DSCs, and we've shown samples of some really good ones. So if the individual who asked this question, certainly reach out to your dealer success coach after this call, and we can send you some really good ones. We've seen people be very creative with even animation, or just being very vulnerable, I guess is the best way to put it, in the walk around videos and talking. We've all seen that video of the man talking with the little kids who run into the video. That's been making the circuit. We all have had those moments where our dog has barked or something like that. And I just think that it's an era of vulnerability that is also rather endearing. And that's just what I wanted to say to this person who asked this question about the do's and don'ts. But I'll turn it over to the marketing gurus for more specifics of the do's and don'ts when you're doing videos.
Well, I think that's a great thing that we should add to our future webinar. And I think that given that we do have great samples, we could actually put something together, like a one sheet that says, think about this, do this, and here are some examples. So I'm volunteering other people's time right now. And so far, nobody's like, pointing a finger and saying, shooting you, right? So. but I think that's
Yeah, I was going to
a
say
really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think we could put together some tips and share them out on our website to get that out there. And the only other tip I can think of, having photographer friends in the industry, is there's something called the magic hour, and it's that hour right after sunrise and the hour right before sunset. For whatever reason, pictures look better during those times of day. So that's my one professional photographer tip for the day for you.
It's all about lighting, right? We were talking about that when we were practicing for this. How do you get when you're in your home, how do you make sure you've got the right lighting so that the backlight doesn't make you look scary, or the front light doesn't make you look, 89. So we're
There's a tip that's come in specific for Ford dealerships. The new vehicle orientation is a great tool for vehicle introduction. Fleet units are being added this week. So that, I think, is a tool that Ford dealers have at their disposal. So that's a great tip. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think I saw, was that something from Ford Direct came out? Was that that document?
Let me see if Kendra can write us back.
Yeah, whoever it was that made that comment, please email me and send me what it is too, more details. Thanks.
So another question, if anything, doing an amateur video really transcends what you're doing. Transcends what you're doing. Whatever it takes to help your customers, and since most of them are service contractors, they can appreciate that you're putting in the extra effort. So I think
that's
this is
a great statement.
echoing.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. And when Holly uses the term vulnerability, that's nice. But the other one that I like is just being genuine. I mean, no masks. I mean, that's part of what's happening, right?
Right. I totally agree. And I said this when we were starting, that I've actually really enjoyed and embraced having the video conferencing become the norm, because it bridges a gap and helps with getting to know people better. And I think that's a really nice, if you can look at a positive through all of this crisis and sadness and scariness, I think in some ways we've grown closer.
I do think it's smart to kind of figure out how you want to be framed, and to spend maybe, because I've had some where, and I'm not going to do it to you guys, but I've had some where people were so close to the camera that literally it was like their nose. And I've had a few where it was really bright. And so, I mean, it is worth spending the time that you would around like getting dressed to go on a sales call. What's your thought process around what do you want to look like when you're going to see that? It's the same kind of thing. None of this is magically different. It's just using different tools.
And on that note, this question sort of gets down to the nuts and bolts of it all, is when you're doing videos, how do you send them out? Vin solutions, YouTube, email blasts. So asking for some advice here on what we do, what you would do with those videos. How do you get the word out?
So if the question is, I've made a video about a particular vehicle and I want to send it to a group of people, then you would use our 2-minute prospecting tool, because you can do that very easily. And you can say to a big group of people, I think we just increase the number to 50 at a time that are individual, unique emails, so that they're not looked at as spam. If you're trying to target a specific customer, again, if you have, I guess the question comes down to if you have our system or not. If you have our system, there's a lot of tools that allow you to not only send them out, but then track things afterwards. But typically, I think the right place is to put them on YouTube. Wouldn't you say that, Nikki?
Yeah, that would be my default answer, is YouTube, because it's free hosting and it works great, and a lot of tools just automatically embed and work with it. So you host the video on YouTube, you can easily embed it on your Facebook page. It's pretty easy to do. I would definitely say YouTube would be your default answer. And then, of course, if you have systems that allow you to upload videos to the website, that helps too. But YouTube's a great free solution.
All right. I've had a couple funny ones here that I'm not totally getting the whole question, and it could be because of me, but somebody's already drinking bourbon today and having trouble with voice to text. So here we all are dealing with our new reality. I love it. All right, here's the question. In regards to vehicles with recalls, is there a way that inventory that is subject to a recall can be listed on the site? We have had many clients complain that there is no notice about recalls showing up on the site.
So I'm not going to guess what OEM that is, but I will say that we recently had a situation where an OEM had a published recall, and we went to the OEM and said, if you will give us a list of all of the bins, or even if you'll give us a list of the specific models and any specific, identifiers, we'd be happy to post that. I think that why that didn't happen was because they were letting the dealers managing it the way that they want to, because they could have already had the recall done, et cetera, et cetera. So we've had some discussion around how to make that easier, but it's easy to do. You can put it on the vehicle detail page. There's a little place right there, and there's some automatic posting tools and stuff. So I think it's a great idea if you've got that. We were trying to figure out how to do it for you, but from an OEM level, but what I heard back from that was that it probably wasn't going to happen because of them not wanting to step on dealers' toes, which was a surprise to me.
All right, well, Catherine and attendees, we are at about the 4-minute mark. So Catherine, I'll just have you stay there. I did just want to call attention to the attendees so that they know how to get in touch with us. Again, this will be provided to you, a recording of this webinar, but you can always reach out to Catherine directly, to Nicole, or to myself with any additional questions. Really appreciate all these great questions. That's been very illuminating to me today, so I appreciate it. So please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. And I'm just going to turn it over now just for some closing thoughts to Catherine.
And I echo that. I really do appreciate that you've taken the time out of a very hectic life right now. I was thinking about that the other day. It's not like by working at home it made things easier. It made, it duplicated efforts and created more stress and more problems and confusions. And yet many people are still accomplishing what they need to accomplish. And I always look at this industry as such a critical industry. I think one of my biggest frustrations, and Nikki knows this because we talk about it in talking to the press, is that this essential business industry, the work truck and van space, is the hardworking backbone of the United States economy. And I guess one thing I believe is happening is that people actually are seeing that, and that you're so intrinsically important to that space, and that by the work that you're doing, just feel really good that you're helping to maintain the whole country. And I appreciate what you're doing. And if there's ways that we can help that we haven't thought of, please let us know. And if there's things that we can bring forward to the next webinar, let Nikki or someone on that list know, and we'll make sure that that's included as well too. Thank you for your time today. And I guess, Holly, we have a couple minutes. Should we just let them try and download the thing now and see if they have any chat back or questions back on that?
I think that sounds like a good plan. I just tried to download it myself and it worked. Yay. Amazing. So definitely do that. If for some reason you have an issue downloading the handout, certainly you can reach out to me, no problem. And I'm thinking that there was one more question, Catherine. Do you want to try to squeeze it in here?
Yeah.
All right. Those of us at Service Truck Magazine absolutely appreciate the time. Oh, how nice. Okay, this isn't a question. This is a very nice statement. Those of us at Service Truck Magazine absolutely appreciate the time you've put into this session. Cheers.
And thank you.
Lovely. Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers to you.
Thank you for supporting the industry as well. holding hands all the way forward, right? Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Have a good day and a good week, everyone.
Thank you all. Be safe.